fellow gastronomes, and welcome to Dirty Belly, where we take you on a journey as your food goes from dirt to your belly. I am your host, a dad who loves to eat and grow, Jeff Sims, and I'm here today with our resident culinarian, Matthew Gaddis.
Hi. Hi, that's me. Nobody calls me Matthew unless I'm in big trouble.
You're in big trouble.
I am
And
in big trouble.
and as always, a special shout out to our producer, Mr. Will Gray, who's out there floating in the ether, watching over us like a good parent.
like the with his noodly appendages, the flying spaghetti monster.
The
Oh
flying-
man, I haven't thought about that in a while. Yeah,
I'm
good,
glad I
good
could bring that
content.
joy
Good
into your
content
life.
right here.
Yeah, I'm glad I could bring that joy into your life. How was your week, Matt?
It was great. Had some great meals. Spent wonderful time with amazing people. Had a great week at work. Really can't complain. Yeah, disclaimer up front, we're a few minutes late because of some poor decisions I made in my diet late at night last night. So here we are.
Yeah, don't eat 6 chili cheese conies in a row, guys. It's a bad
Yeah,
idea.
don't do that. Don't or
Uh,
anything even related to that.
Matt, what's the best thing you ate this week?
Yeah, I'm kind of split here. So I'm gonna pull up my photos on my own here so I don't get lost. But yeah, I had two really great meals. Um, the first one was at a new restaurant called Kisser here on the east side of Nashville. These folks have been doing pop-ups for a couple of years, and they finally have a brick and mortar. And they were called one of Bon Appetit's top 13 restaurant openings in the country. So I knew I had to get in. I was fortunate enough to spend an amazing afternoon with my parents. They're the absolute sweetest people in the world. We went up to this adorable place. The whole joint looks like something straight out of Travel Channel, like a little izakaya you would find in Japan. It's a little more streamlined, a little more hip looking, but it's small, it's cute, it's walk in only. When we sat down, we got there right at 11 when they opened, and by the time we were done, there was probably an hour wait outside the door. Dishes I had there, I had a grilled onigiri. The onigiri is a rice ball, a sticky rice ball that's stuffed with all manner of goodness, and then you get a little sheet of nori to hold it like a taco. This one had some roe and yuzu and spice on the inside. It was unbelievable. Next was a kabocha squash dish with a miso glaze and green beans. Very simple, seasonal, delicious. Then the showstopper for me was an agadashi tofu. So that's a very glutinous tofu dish. Kind of challenging for the American palate because we're not really used to like squishy, rubbery stuff. But if you can drink it in and enjoy it, then that's really something special. Also, the dashi in that dish was one of the best things I've ever put in my mouth. It was unbelievable.
I'm kind of
Dude, it was. I'm telling you, it keeps going. They had a Japanese version of a Caesar salad with some purple lettuce, and rather than the traditional Caesar salad stuff going on, because there's a lot of anchovy in a traditional Caesar salad. This was all bonito fish flakes, nori, sesame. So all very familiar flavors, but just kind of from a different cultural palate. My the chicken katsu sandwich also there at the very end for me. Fried chicken sandwich, Japanese style on milk bread. Really good. And Will from out there in the ether, I don't know if you, I don't even think I had this picture for you, but there is a photo of me and my dad looking extremely upset with me that I let him eat fish flakes without telling him what it was. He was not pleased.
Sometimes it's better not to know, what you're
Yeah,
eating,
yeah,
what all goes into what you're eating.
yeah.
And
It was, but all in all, man, seriously, they're open from 11 to 3. I want to say Thursday through Sunday. up here on the east side, and they are absolutely delicious. Please get in there as fast as possible and go early, or you will be waiting. Kisser is the name of that place.
Nice.
If I may, steamroll right into the other one I wanted to shout out. My amazing friend Amanda and I went to a place most people are familiar with, Mas Tacos Por Favor on the east side. We were just cruising for lunch. It's an east side staple, but I hadn't been in probably 6-7 years, and it was delicious. I think my highlight is the fried avocado taco. I mean, is what it is. It's got a kind of a yogurt slaw on it. Super tasty. Then had some fried plantains with sweet cream. You really can't get fried plantains wrong. Like they just make themselves. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Also called maduros. Just sticky, sweet, plantainy goodness. Had some elote, some street corn, super tasty, grilled, cotija cheese, paprika, a little lime on top. And you know what? I'm not going to talk about the last taco because it wasn't very good, and I'm not going to try and put them on blast.
Yeah, we don't want mediocre food on this show.
Yeah.
Thing I probably had this week for Easter Sunday, I had my family over. I grilled up a bunch of stuff. I personally ate my very own beer brats that I made, which I love a good beer brat. And when you make it yourself, you always make it the way you like it, right? So it was really delicious.
Yeah. Did you make the grind and everything?
Oh no. I used Johnsonville, man.
All right.
I was cooking
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, hey, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. But you know, with the good brat, it's all about the preparation. You know, you want it low and slow with some beer and onions in your stock pot, and then once they're pretty much cooked, you're just going to put them on the grill for some color and a little extra flavor. I also cooked up hot dogs and hamburgers and all that jazz, classic American cookout. But I myself ate the brats without buns because they were so tasty.
Oh yeah, I love
baked bean action.
In that cooking process. I love letting that beer and onion reduce, and basically, it is a horrible term, but beer gravy kind of is what it turns into. And
it's bratwurst pot liquor.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that's called a callback.
But I also grilled hamburgers, which is what we're here to discuss today. So, of course, we always start out with a what is question. So, what is a hamburger technically? I mean, it's ground meat in a patty, right? And let me ask you a couple questions here, Matt, because this is kind of hard for me to define. Does it need to be on a bun to be a hamburger?
I think that's a difference of the evolution of a hamburger. I think
hamburger steak, right?
Yeah. Once the concept of a hamburger or a chopped steak kind of hit stateside, I think it became a totally different animal. And now we sort of require it to be on some kind of bread to be considered a burger. If it's not, then you're looking at a chopped steak. At least if you're seeing it on a menu.
Does it have to be beef?
Absolutely not.
Okay, those are my questions, because I was borderline on both of those, because you know, a turkey burger is a turkey burger. It's not, to me, it's not necessarily a hamburger, but I see both sides of the argument there. The history of the hamburger.
I love blended burgers too. Like, I think beef is very important to be in there, but you know, you can absolutely mix some other things in there. We'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah, I'm very much in the does not have to be beef camp.
Okay, I'm a big fan of a salmon burger too. So, healthier option for those of you out there who think about those kind of things. History of the hamburger. You know, I love food history, so I did a little research on this. Its earliest known ancestor dates all the way back to the 4th century AD in Rome. It was called Isacia or Aumentada. Isacia Aumentada.
It was
chopped beef served as a baked patty, mixed up with pine nuts and peppercorns and white wine. So kind of interesting, I guess.
That's way earlier than I thought that concept went, like by a lot.
And obviously, what we think of as modern day ground beef does not exist back then, because they didn't have grinders. But you know,
what?
And you think about how hard it would be to chop up beef with a knife, especially without the refrigeration and freezing techniques that we might use today to aid us in the cutting of the beef. The first description of steak tartare, which I also think of as a precursor to hamburger, um, was given by Jules Verne in 1875 in his novel Michael Strogoff. So, you know, and this is about where you see all of the hamburger items start to show up is in the 1800s, aka the 19th century. Um, this is also the time period that a little bit after the sandwich originated, which the hamburger is technically a sandwich, right?
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
and we all know where the sandwich comes from, right?
The Earl of Sandwich.
The Earl of Sandwich, a man named John Montagu, also known as Greasy Finger John. Okay.
Is that real?
Well, he created the sandwich because his fingers were getting greasy while he was playing cards, so I call him Greasy Finger John. I assume that.
Oh man, I was hoping that was like a contemporary name for him. There's like, oh, that's old Greasy Fingers over there.
Well, I assume that that's what his homies were calling him. They're like, God, Greasy Finger John again. And he's like, dude, I got to do something about this. I can't have this name, right?
We
How
can't
am I going to
play
get
with this
any?
deck more than once. There's grease.
How are you going to get anybody to be with you in an intimate fashion if your name is Greasy Finger John? I'm just saying.
Listen,
This is a serious
yuck
problem.
anyone's yum here. Some people are into greasy fingers. You know, it happens.
I guess I don't knock them, but Hamburg steak, which is generally thought of as the immediate precursor to hamburgers, first became popular. Obviously, it comes from the Hamburg section of area of Germany. The pounded steak, they put onions on it, folded over, pounded again, broiled it. Sounds disgusting, right? But so does a lot of the stuff that they used to eat back then compared to what we eat now. It became popular in New York in the 19th century because of European settlers who would leave the port of Hamburg, come there and want food like where they left from, right? Pretty easy to understand. In the United States, it might consist of a fried patty of chopped beef, eggs, onions, and seasoning. That doesn't sound as bad.
Getting almost into meatloaf territory, which I
Yeah,
do respect.
the first meat grinder was also invented in the early 19th century. That's when you really start to see the takeoff of the hamburger as an idea, because trying to chop it up and get it to hold together is just not. You're gonna have to have egg and binders and stuff. You're not gonna get a pure meat patty like most people think
Yeah,
of.
good time to talk about it, though. In my questioning of my coworkers yesterday, I was informed of a burger that I really need to try at a place called the Southern Row here in Nashville. Apparently, they are doing a 100% hand cut burger. They have some poor prep bastard back there hand cutting all of their beef patties, and if they're putting that kind of effort in, I need to taste that. Like that's insane. Especially for a restaurant operation. Like I might make one for myself, but if we're serving lots of customers, good God.
Yeah, so many restaurants phone in their burgers, and it's really sad because a great, amazing burger can be like an absolutely amazing meal, but so many places use frozen patties and stuff like that, and it's just not very good. And we'll get into a little bit later on how you can do it at home and make your own incredible burgers. The 1880s was the beginning of what was known as the golden era of beef in the United States. It's the time
Ooh.
period where the United States became one of the largest producers of beef in the world. We had large amounts of land devoted to cattle production, and this was the beginning of the era of the cowboy. Right? It's what is more American than the cowboy? That's right, the little lasso. Right? Shoot 'em up. And what else do? We eat chili and we eat hamburgers, right? Um, and
All
around
I'm
this,
thinking of is the farting scene from Blazing Saddles.
yeah, and there's a
Beautiful.
lot of, who actually created the first hamburger between the bun is really a highly contested thing in the United States. Like a lot of things, there's a few oldest bars in America. There's a few different people that claim to have been the first person to put a hamburger in between two pieces of bread to eat it. The one that it's probably most likely is a man named Fletcher Davis in 1880 in Athens, Texas. He put a Hamburg steak between two pieces of Texas toast so a customer could carry it with him and eat it while he was walking, and it soon became a regular menu item. Another guy that it could have been is a 15-year-old kid named Charlie Negreen. He sold hamburger steaks from his street stall at his county fair in Wisconsin. They didn't have much success selling them because you know you got to sit down with a knife and fork. So he put it between bread so people could walk with it. The general idea is that it became popular because people wanted to walk and eat. And
I love that. I love that the progression in America is straight up due to convenience. Like that's one of the most American things I've ever heard. Like,
absolutely,
yeah, this is delicious, but how do I eat it while I move?
White Castle actually also claims to be the first creator of the hamburger. That's probably not
Ooh,
true, although
I don't know
they were in
about
that
that.
time frame. It probably wasn't actually them. Um, but
I do love a greasy little slider, but I don't know if I can give them that shine.
they were very notable in that time period because this was right after The Jungle by Upton Sinclair came out, which is a very famous book in America, which highlighted the disgusting practices that were happening in food production in America. So a lot of people became very aware of issues that could happen with their meat. So White Castle really took off because they were the first restaurant to put in stainless steel counters so they could wipe them down every day. It was a big cleanliness thing. People were really happy to see that. Of course, you might still get a finger in your hamburger, but that's just
That's fine.
that's the price you had to pay back then,
Yeah,
right?
and all yeah, big shout out to that too, especially if you work in the food industry. The Jungle is required reading. It's it really takes apart the industry and more how it affected families working in that industry in that time period, and yeah, the unfair labor practices and all that. It's a really great read.
It's don't read it before you eat or directly after you eat. Probably, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
it can make you a bit squeamish because some of the stuff is pretty gross that was going on back then. And you know, it's just like, oh, somebody lost their finger today on the plant. Well, we don't want to get rid of the meat. Just ship it out. It'll be all right. You know what I
There's
mean?
probably like an allowable finger quota at that
Yeah,
point. Like, it's fine.
yeah, it's probably around 10 fingers a day. I'd
A
say.
day. Oh, well, yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, they're just kids. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
It's not like they're
Yeah.
adults. They can't come
We'll
back and
get
hurt you.
more.
Yeah. So that's the history of the hamburger, specifically in America. It is a contested history. Obviously, McDonald's comes in pretty shortly after that, and really creates what modern Americans think of as the hamburger, the fast food hamburger, which to me is one of the worst hamburgers you can get. Just my personal opinion. Um,
Aw. My stomach doesn't like them, but boy, my taste buds do.
it's a very low quality beef patty. You don't get a lot of meat to bun ratio. A lot of the things that I like that I think of when I think of a great hamburger, McDonald's does wrong. Now I do think that they get the flavor profile done very well, and it's comfort food for most people.
Yeah.
We I can eat a McDonald's cheeseburger because it's what I ate when I was a kid, right? But
Yeah.
when I compare that to a really great burger place or one especially that I make on my own grill, there's night and day. Like it's not even the same thing sometimes.
So,
Um,
Jeff, are you familiar? I think a lot of people have seen this. Are you familiar with the history of McDonald's and like, have you seen the founder?
I have not seen that.
It's a really, aside from just good acting and good performances, it's a very interesting look at Ray Kroc, the guy that kind of took McDonald's from a neighborhood joint by the McDonald's brothers into a global franchise. And it also doesn't it's called The Founder, but it's a very ironic title. It does not portray Ray Kroc as a good person. He absolutely stole that concept from the McDonald brothers and ran with it. So while creating wild success, he also completely appropriated their idea. But there's some really interesting sequences in there about how they were able to streamline the fast food burger experience, because a lot of places were limited about how much they could sell because you could only make a burger so fast. There are bits in that movie. It's really fun to see visually of them standing in a parking lot with a taped out map of their kitchen and walking through the process, figuring out how it's going to be the most efficient from order to delivery. And that's how they created a way that you can get your burger in 90 seconds to 3 minutes. And they were doing this back in, I want to say the 40s. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. And
But I think that was a very important turning point for fast food in the United States, like realizing that with proper planning, you might not have the exact same quality, but you could feed the American need for a fast meal.
Yeah, and that it's when they really started to put speed over everything else, right? And it's not
Yeah,
that they didn't care. Like we don't care if it tastes terrible, but the number one factor is speed, and it's still that way in all fast food restaurants in general.
yeah, yeah.
Let's
Well,
talk
and it was
about
trendy then too, so that everybody wanted to get a piece of it, whether it tasted good or not.
the classic burger setups and what you think people should be looking to do. Obviously, there's the classic American mustard, ketchup, mayo, onion, lettuce, tomato, and cheese. But here's the question: what kind of cheese do you think is best on a hamburger?
Ooh, uh, there's a lot. I might get some flack here, but best cheese for a cheeseburger. If like the cheeseburger we're all thinking of when I say cheeseburger, that's American cheese, baby. You
Yeah,
got to get that melt. You got to get that drip. You can't mess around. I would honorable mention to cheddar, but the cheddar, your second fiddle. I'm sorry, America's
cheddar's
got it.
oily too, and it
It
doesn't
is.
give you that
It is.
creaminess that the American does. JJ Wren says provolone. I like that. I would do provolone on a burger.
I love that, and I will put out the caveat for my statement that I'm not going to hate on any cheese on a burger, but I think the an American cheese slice delivers the classic taste the best way.
Yeah, I like pepper jack a lot on burgers. Um, you can
Sledge it
really get
real
fancy
good.
with
Hell
them.
yeah, government cheese.
Yeah. You can really get fan. You can stack all kinds of cheese on it. Blue cheese can be a very good burger topping, depending on the other ingredients you put on there. With some like caramelized onion and or maybe a red wine guest streak, blue cheese could be incredible on a burger. And that's really it. It's like when you're building your burger, you're thinking of flavor profiles, and um, there's a few that are pretty popular, right? The bacon cheeseburger, the barbecue burger that'll have barbecue sauce, maybe an onion ring on it. The Cali burger that'll have guacamole on it. You know, the Roadhouse burger that'll have chili and an onion ring. Um, but the great thing about a burger is it's kind of a lot of times it's a build your own thing, so you get to make it how you like it.
Yeah, those toppings. I mean, they're going to go however you are feeling in the moment. It can be anything.
I've seen people
It's
do
unlimited.
teriyaki burgers with pineapple and teriyaki.
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah, sounds pretty good to me. Does pineapple go on a burger, Will, out there in the ether?
I'm
He
gonna.
said yes.
I'm
He
gonna.
said yes. Will did try his first pineapple pizza uh, on his show Hot Shots uh, this week, and he
I'm
actually liked it. He's always been a pineapple pizza hater, and he actually loved it. So
Yeah, I am told he did enjoy it. That was myself and the beautiful person Will Gray used to cohabitate, and we turned into a two pizza household when it came time to order pizza because he would not do anything other than I think pepperoni was about it like that.
botch
Refused
spots.
every other
Sorry,
version.
botch spots and chair shots. I'm not. If it's not written down, I'm like the opposite of Ron Burgundy. If it's not written down, I'm probably not going to say it. What are your best burger sides, Matt? What do you got to have with your burger? Obviously, French fries, right? That's the number one.
Yeah, of course. And I would even extend it to potatoes in general. I
Yeah,
mean, the phrase "meat and potatoes" exists for a reason. It's filling. It's potatoes are a very cheap way to fill up a meal.
tater tots.
Uh,
Here's an interesting fact about tater tots that you may not want to know. Tater tots have onions in them.
oh yeah, I
The
love that.
traditional tater tot is chopped up potato and onion put together. And some people out there that don't like onions may not want to know that, but now you know. So I ruined that for you, or I made it better, one or the other. But
Sorry.
next time you eat
Also,
a tater
fun
tot,
thing.
you're gonna taste the onion. I promise you. Now that you know.
But fun little bit about tater tots is if you buy anything called a tater tot, it is owned by Orida. They hold the copyright for the term tater tot, so that's why you see things like tater barrels and
The
tater bug.
Rockefellers of the potato world, right?
They got in, man. They got in on the ground floor, and
Yeah, sledge it. A tater tot is just kind of like a tiny little latke. That's a very good point there. Sledge it
okay,
right there. I like that.
that broke my brain a little bit right there.
Yeah. He's a smart fella or lady. I don't know. Hard to tell. Sledge it sounds masculine though, but you never know, right?
Dropping the hammer on him.
Yeah. Um, I think mac and cheese is an acceptable side. Onion rings, great side. Somebody said flavored rice. I don't know. Flavored rice?
Who said flavored rice?
That
Who
seems
said that?
un-American, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I accept that.
You might get deported in certain parts of the country for eating rice with your burger. I'm just saying.
I'm trying to. Oh, it was J. It was JJ. There it is. I think we might have our first podcast enemy here. That's a contentious opinion
I
right
will
there.
not turn you in for deportation. I'm just warning you that it could happen. Okay. You don't eat rice with your burgers. Not in public, at least.
keep that shit to yourself.
Yeah. You do that at home, away from your wife and kids. That's not acceptable. Okay, how to cook a burger. I hope this is what you came for. This is one of my specialties. Everybody always, whenever somebody meets a chef or a cook, they're always like, "What's your specialty?" And this is definitely one of mine. I'm like, you got to try my burgers because this is where the hamburger's made, as they say. For me personally,
Everybody
I
says that.
I personally like ground beef 80-20 blend, maybe 75-25. And what we're talking about here is meat to fat ratio. It'll be 80% meat, 20% fat, or 75% meat, 25% fat. Very high fat content. That's what I want because that's the juiciness. Now, Matt, you like blended burgers, right?
I appreciate them.
What do you like to
One
blend when you blend a burger?
So my favorite blend that I've ever done personally, I've got a couple here. My favorite one I've done ever personally ever was for a party called Meatitarians Day. I don't know if it still happens down in Murfreesboro, but it was a community party next to the Slick Pig, and the price of admission was bringing a meat-based dish to feed at least 20 people. So I took burgers that were a beef and chorizo blend, but
Ooh,
I didn't like fully incorporate the chorizo with the beef.
yeah.
I kind of marbled it together. So, and chorizo has a lower cooking point. So when you put them on the grill, what you
Uh,
ended up with was a burger where one bite might be mostly medium seasoned beef. Your next bite might be chorizo, and it played off the toppings with each bite. So you had a different experience every time you took a bite.
that sounds
Uh,
fantastic.
yeah, it was super interesting. I love big hit. It was between me with that and the bacon ice cream. I can't remember who did the bacon ice cream, but God
Yeah.
bless them.
If you're gonna blend a burger, you're gonna go traditionally beef and pork. I think chorizo is an excellent idea because it brings a lot of flavor to the table. I've seen people use ground bacon, and then of course you can always just find ground pork at your local grocery store most of the time, unseasoned. You can do an Italian sausage kind of thing. That is going to add a lot of flavor to it. The Italian sausage has a lot of herbs in it that you may not want. Just when you're topping your burger, just keep it in mind. But
Yeah,
you're generally going to go 50-50, half beef, half some sort of pork. And now,
I
so
was. I would love to jump in with kind of one of the gourmet burgers. One of those opinions that I got from my our chef de cuisine, John. His favorite burger he knew right off the rip, and it was a fascinating burger. It was a blend of beef, pork, and venison, and they took whole spices like warm spices and Indian spices from the Indian market, and put those whole spices in the grinder as they were grinding the meat.
mm,
So everything was fresh, cracked, lots of big
mm.
flavor.
Top that with like a cucumber raita or something like that. Oh my goodness, that sounds
Yeah.
fantastic.
You're right there. There's, I do believe there was a raita on there. They also, then the way they presented it was two smash patties, and then they put pimento cheese inside it, Juicy Lucy style.
Oh
Uh, and yeah, and like that right there, like oh my god.
man, that sounds incredible. So if you want to make a great burger at home, get your meat, whatever it is. You're going to do a 50-50 blend, or you're going to be like me. You can go with a high fat content ground beef. The key here, there's to me, there's a three, maybe four keys. You want a thick patty. All right, I'm looking at least an inch thick. When you patty it out, you want to indent the middle. a little bit. That way it doesn't turn into everybody's seen they turn into a ball when you cook them. If you
Big old
indent
puppy
it,
boy.
if you have your middle about a half inch thick and your edge about an inch thick, it's going to end up being about 3/4 of an inch all the way across, and it's going to be perfect. Patty them and then refrigerate them. You want them cold when they hit the grill, and you want your grill hot, your burgers cold. And when you're patting them out, your hands are going to raise the temperature of the beef. So sometimes I might even put them in the freezer if I'm going to be cooking them real soon and I want them to get cold on the outside real quick. But you definitely want to try to chill them off a little bit more. And then you have to do it over an open flame. I don't care if you use propane. I don't care if you use charcoal. That's pretty negligible. I think charcoal does add a little bit of extra flavor, but I have a
We
propane
might got fighting words here.
I have a propane grill myself. I love the convenience of a propane grill, and if you get one with the flavorizer bars, you get those flare ups and stuff that add the flame seared taste. But what you want is to cook it outdoors over an open flame of some sort.
I see. I got a point of contention here.
Let's go.
I don't think any kind of gas fuel belongs anywhere near my burger. I think you do yourself a favor, spend $40 and get a hibachi and use that charcoal, or better yet, use a charcoal and wood blend. That's going to give you a much better flavor on those flare ups. You're still going to get your flare ups, but it's not gonna have that gassy flavor. It's going to be nothing but wood and smoke. I think like just like cooking meats in a long form, a good smoke flame is beautiful.
I agree. It does add something to the burgers. And if you want to be a burger gatekeeper like Matt, then go charcoal only. But if you're like me and you get
I will
lazy
keep that gate
sometimes,
all the time.
if you want to be like me and oh man, I forgot to do anything today and I want to make burgers tonight and I got 30 minutes. That's what I love about propane. Is I can have my grill from cool to ripping hot in less than 5 minutes. And
Fair
I
enough.
do think that I am sacrificing some flavor. Propane is flavorless though, so it doesn't actually add any negative flavor to your grill. And here's the problem with the charcoal thing that I've seen is a lot of people don't know how to do it right, and they drown their charcoal in lighter fluid, and that will add flavor to your
Sure.
burgers a lot of
Sure.
times. And if you're going to do charcoal properly, get yourself a charcoal chimney starter and do it right. And you do need to plan a little bit further out ahead. Now, in the cooking process itself, like I said, we want the grates ripping hot. We want the burgers cold, straight on there. Just salt and pepper. Unless you're doing something crazy like the Indian spice burger or something, just salt and pepper it. Okay, don't do anything wild with garlic and onion powder or anything like that. Salt and pepper. Let the burger
Now
do
who's
the
gatekeeping?
yeah. Let the burger do the talking. Yeah. Oh well, it's my show. I'm allowed. Don't smash them. If you smash your burger, I'm leaving your barbecue. I will get
I
in my
might leave
car
it,
and I will go home. Okay? Do
boy,
not
we have
do that.
different opinions on burgers.
You this is my specialty. Everybody always loves my burgers. I'm trying to help y'all out, okay? I'm trying to do my best for you guys here. Open flame. Don't smash them. We're only going to flip them once. That's it. Okay? If they're a little pink in the middle, you're just going to have to eat it like that, okay? Because I'm not playing Nancy Dancy with my burgers here, losing all my fat, okay? My fat needs to stay in the burger. I want it when they bite into that burger, I want fat to pour into their mouth like molten lava, okay? And that's it. Serve them hot, okay? Don't let them sit for too long. Off the grill. Well, as soon as my burgers come off the grill, I'm like a drill sergeant. Everybody get in line. It's time to get your burger. All right. No, you don't have time to wash your hands now. You got to go. All right. These burgers are ready. Okay. Don't let them sit out in the sun and the wind for 30 minutes before they get eaten because they're getting dry. That's what I got. Matt, you want to tear me down? Let's hear it.
No, not tearing you down at all. The burger is one of those beautiful things that you can cook however you want, and everybody's got their opinions. I am, I think with the smashing, I think that
forgive
is
you.
very important on a grill to not do that. Absolutely. But I am also a fan of a smash burger patty, even at home. And if I'm cooking outside, I'll get the cast iron out and put it over an open flame, so I still get the outdoor experience of cooking. And then just absolutely make those little flat boys. And
But smash burger is its own thing because it's not about juiciness. It's about kind of almost like a crispiness kind of thing on the outside, and you're really trying to get a good crust, right? And you're
Yeah,
doing it in a pan. It's
yeah, totally different experience.
yeah.
I was talking to our mutual friend and fellow chef Kevin last night about burgers, and one of his comments was for a backyard kind of cookout burger. One of his like childhood memories was specifically not doing the dimple on the burger, and there's kind of a romanticism he has for that big old puffed up burger patty. So I think it's just whatever your experience has been. That's what your favorite's going to be. Because I found that opinion to be insane, but that's what he loves. So
Well, and I agree in the fact that this is America and people are allowed to be wrong. So that's that's our God-given right in this country is to make your burgers however you want, even if you're smashing them and I leave your barbecue to go home and make my own, and that's fine.
So Jeff, a question I have for you, a big point of contention. What's your minimum cook temperature for a burger? Because personally, if it's under medium, I'm not too pleased with it. I'm not a fan of the texture of anywhere close to raw beef inside of a burger. I need it. I need a good pink all the way through. I don't want to see any red at all.
Yeah, a perfect burger to me is medium well, just a little bit of pink in there because if it's if it goes completely gray, there's a very high likelihood that you've taken it farther than you need to and lost some of the juice. But I am not a fan of the texture of raw ground beef. Medium is okay, but I think medium well is probably prime, and medium rare to me is I don't know. I used to have a roommate that could eat ground beef straight out of the pack without cooking it.
Woof.
So, to each their own, I guess. And if somebody asked for their burger medium rare, I would cook them like that for me. But that's not that way for me.
I mean, I know she had blown up in the chat. I knew exactly who you were talking about as soon as you said that. uh, but yeah, I mean, like tartare is one thing, but even with a steak tartare, with you're not just eating ground meat. Anyone worth their salt making tartare is at least combining that with hand cut and plenty of seasonings and stuff like that, and that translates into a burger as well. It's like you're not out here raw dogging the grind, man. Like that's weird.
Please don't raw dog anything. Okay. Those days are way behind us. Okay. Don't be raw dogging. Well, that's what we got for you this week. Thank you, hungry homies. I guess I should do our shout outs first.
I don't know, man. I honestly, maybe not next week, but upcoming in the future, I would love to do another round on burgers. I got a lot of untouched notes and whatnot. I think we could get some opinions from our audience. I think we got a deep subject over here.
I do. Talking to the chat here, I do speak for myself, Sledge. I do realize that people have a lot of variety in the way they like their food. And if somebody wants it a certain way, I have no problem with it. I'm telling you how I make incredible burgers that people go wild for. Show us your dirt. Twitter at The Dirty Belly, Instagram at The Dirty Belly, Facebook The Dirty Belly Show. Shout outs, tea and hot takes, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday, trivia night featuring someone, 8 p.m. Thursday. I might be back on there. I won. So I might be back. Maybe if they do 90s wrestling trivia, I might get back on there and see if I can remember some stuff. Both of those, of course,
just got very excited.
both of those, of course, on Rivet City Radio. If I did 90s trivia, I would get 90s wrestling trivia. I would get some of them right, but Will would probably absolutely dominate me. So thank you all, hungry homies, for joining us today on our journey of learning more about the food we eat. Don't smash your burgers. We out.
Oof.